Coaching Soccer Weekly, episode 370. Why you are always losing the close games. Entertaining, educational, and inspiring soccer content to help make you a more effective coach, player, or soccer parent. Hello and welcome back to Coaching Soccer Weekly, presented by World Class Coaching. My name is Sega Verbinovich, and this is the podcast devoted to bringing you cutting-edge methods, techniques, and tactics for coaching soccer. It doesn't matter if you're an experienced coach who has been training teams for many years, or if you're new to coaching and working with a team for the very first time. There's something we can all do to take our coaching to the next level. Welcome back to the show. I'm really excited to talk about this weekend. We had a festival. It was our first festival in years, so it was really great. I'll start off with Saturday, and then I'll talk about Sunday. Saturday was probably the best soccer day, weather-wise, that we've had since I can remember, since last summer. It was about, I would say, 13, 14 degrees, so it's a little chilly, but the sun was out, so it was a little warm. It was just a perfect atmosphere to, do a good long warm-up, get the players warm, and then have them play, and they wouldn't get tired because it wasn't hot or humid or anything like that. It was just a really good day for a festival. First game came, two players ended up having family emergencies, so they couldn't come, so we were short a player, and that was tough. We were playing against tier 1 opponents, which is not what I asked for. I asked for us to be in tier 2. But I thought it was a really, really good introduction into what this team is going to be facing this summer. They are in a tier 1 league, so we're going to be facing tier 1 opponents. And that was really the goal of this weekend, was to just try and get them ready for the summer league. Now, what ended up happening was we ended up seeing if we were at that tier 1 level. Now, we were down in players, so 6 against 7. And even playing a player down, we played really well. We ended up making a lot of mistakes in the back that ended up as goals. That's usually what happens. But the only time the other team really touched the ball was when we made a mistake in the back. And that led to a goal. So we had most of the possession. We were pretty much able to do what we wanted when it came to 1v1, stuff like that. We went down early, 1-0. We came back 1-1. And then I think the score kind of got away from us a little bit. But overall, that first game was really good for us. The 2014s, pretty much the same story. Mistakes in the back that cost us. We were the better team. We moved the ball well. And pretty happy. What I noticed most was that our defense was better. We didn't really give goals because of our defending. It was more the mistakes in possession. So there's going to be a shift in really what we're working on when we get outdoors, which will be next week. I'll talk about how we're going to structure our sessions. They're going to be an hour and 20 minutes. Which is different than what we do indoor. Indoor is just an hour, just simply because of the space that we have. But yeah, I thought, 2014s also did well. Both teams lost their first game. And then our second game. Unfortunately for the 2013s, it was back-to-back, so I couldn't move the VO. And I think if there was a theme for this weekend, was me messing up the VO. Firstly, not being able to get the VO to the third game, which was the 2013 game, simply because I would have had to cross a street and it was far and between games, so couldn't really make that happen. And of course, it's the curse. The one game that you don't record is probably the best game the team's ever had. What ended up happening was we played a really strong tier 1 team and a team I've never heard of before. And by the way, that's what I love most about tournaments. It's a chance to really play against teams and clubs that sometimes you don't even know, you've never heard of. We had clubs from Ottawa that came in, and so it's a really good experience to just test yourself. So ended up going, game started, and we went down 2-0. The other team was pushing. They were tackling from behind, shoving, grabbing, like every possible dirty thing that you could think of, they were doing. And I absolutely loved it. I loved that our players were getting hacked, they were getting tripped. We ended up getting a goal, I think, right before halftime. Uh, no, we tied it, so it was 2-2 going into halftime. We were down 2-0, came back 2-2, and right before the halftime whistle, one of our players got an elbow. He hurt his elbow somehow. Another player just tripped him. I think he might have landed awkwardly or something like that. Not an insane injury, but the reason I say that is he's crying. He's coming off. He's crying, and everyone's sitting down. And obviously, what's the first thing that these kids are saying? They start complaining. They're tripping us. They're hurting us. They're this, that, and there's a little bit of silence. And at this point, as a coach, what I was thinking was, okay, we're in a really negative headspace. How do we turn this around? So the first thing that I want all my players to know always when they're talking to me is, I hear what you're saying. I see it. I get it. And that's what I said. I said, you're 100% right. We're not getting calls. We're getting tripped. We're getting hurt. They're playing dirty. I completely understand that. Now I changed gears, because what I've done there, I've started to calm them down. They understand that I know what's going on. I'm the one that's supposed to keep them safe. Technically, it's the ref's job, but that's my job. So I want them to know that I see it. I want them to know that I get it and that I understand what they're going through. That's the most important thing. But now we want to shift gears. So here's what I said. I looked at them and I said, I want you to imagine that you are playing for Barcelona and you are playing in El Clasico against Real Madrid. These are the games that you want to be a part of. The game that is dirty. The game where you're getting tripped. It's a fight. It's a dog fight. Because if you want to be a professional player and you want to play at that highest level, these are the games that are going to make who you are. These are the games that are going to define you in your career moving forward. So we're not going to have a lot of these. But these are the games you want to be a part of. These are the games that, when it's tough, when you're getting hurt, when the other team is just tripping and doing everything, this is the experience that you need. You need to get through this. And then I said, we have one half. That's it. And then we're done. We're done for the day. You have a long rest. We don't have practice until Tuesday. I want you to relish in this opportunity, because right now you have been given the only opportunity that we've had in a very long time to play in a game that you could possibly play in if you become a professional player. And with that, the attitude completely changed. Everyone they're not smiling, but they get it. They get it that this is their opportunity to create something, to do something memorable. We go into the second half, ended up winning 4-3. There was a point, even at when it was a 2-2 draw, and I just looked over at the other coach, and I'm smiling ear to ear. It was one of the best games, just one of the best games. And this is what you want. This is why you go to tournaments, for these types of games, for the dirty, for your players to just give everything, and they did. And I was so proud of them. I don't care about the win. Okay, we won 4-3, but it's what that meant. It meant that even though they were getting tripped, even though they were getting fouled, even though, two of them started crying during the game, they never gave up, and they just kept going. So that game was over. Then we played 2014. The 2014 team, their second game, we played against a tier 2 team, and that wasn't a real game. We played a really good in 2014, a tier 1, and then a pretty average recreational type in their second game. So did really well from a score point of view, but there was still some stuff to work on. I think if I look at Saturday and I think about what we got from it as coaches, is we understand that defending's a lot better. No real defensive mistakes. There might have been a couple that ended up in goals, but as opposed to where we were even 3 weeks ago, we're a lot better from a defensive point of view. So that was one thing that I got from it. The second thing that we really understood was that the mistakes in the back are what's causing this, us to get scored on so much. So we really have to start eliminating those, and we'll be able to do that once we get into outdoor. And I'll talk about kind of how we're going to do outdoor, I think, next week, because that's when we're going outside. So I'll talk about that then. So Saturday over with, both teams exactly what I wanted. One loss, one win. Fantastic. We get to Sunday, completely different day. Morning, not bad weather-wise. We played a tier 1 team. This is a tier 2 2012 U11 team. So I didn't think we struggled that much, but there's a difference between a tier 1 and a tier 2 team. I think we're just missing a couple of defenders to really get us to that tier 1. But, it was okay. Then we had a really long break. And during the break, it started to pour. And started to get cold. I wore my winter jacket to the second game. And this is just Toronto weather. I remember in university, there was one day where I left for school in the morning with shorts and a t-shirt because it was so hot. And then I ended up coming home and it started snowing. It's just Toronto weather. It's pretty ridiculous. So second game, come back. Now we're playing a true tier 2 team. And again, same themes within every single team. Dominate, great game, but mistakes in the back really cost us. We also missed a penalty shot, but what ended up happening was we were down 2-0 halftime, and they came in, right? And it was the exact same speech, right? These are the games, these are the moments, right? This is what Messi plays in. This is what every Premier League game is like. It's cold, it's rainy, right? This is what we want. And after I gave both of those speeches, there was just a shift in attitude. In the second half, we scored a beautiful goal, just brilliant. And then from there, they scored a goal. We made a bad pass back, and they took advantage of that. But it's okay. Our goalkeeper is still really new, so he'll get better. So I'm not really worried about that. But that attitude, that's really what I wanted, and I was really proud of them for that. Cold, wet, and they just gave it to the other team. They didn't quit. We made it a fight, and that's what I was most proud of this weekend. We never quit, and those moments, those games where you go in at halftime and you're tied, and you just need that extra. that little bit to get you over the line. That's what we got out of our players, and that's what I want to talk about for the rest of the show. For me, there's no doubt why our players are able to get into these situations and overcome them. And it's the fact that in our training sessions, every single training session, they are being trained to go out and fight no matter what. There are times where our players are going 1v1 or 2v2, doesn't matter, against players that are bigger, stronger, faster, and they have to do it. It's just now part of their soccer DNA. They're used to being, tripped, grabbed, just everything that you can imagine. And when you're just used to that every single time, and you get into these moments where it's cold, it's wet, the other team plays dirty, what kicks in is the muscle memory. What kicks in is that fight or flight mode. And to train that, that's what we do within our sessions. That's why these 1v1s and 2v2s are so important. And it was so clear in the 2013 game, the second game. It was just the other team quit. They did. They were beating us up the first half, just going after us in the worst way. And there's only so much you can do before you're just tired of doing it. Our players just didn't quit. One of our players, the one that got hurt, he kept going 1v1 at that same player that continued to try and hurt him. And it was like, the way that I think about it, there are movies where, the action star or whatever, he just never dies. And the bad guys at a certain point are like, they look at each other, they're like, what are we going to do? I've tried everything. I'm tired of this. Like, I can't keep trying to trip him and hold him and grab. Like, that takes effort. I just can't. And that's what happened in the 2013 game. That's what happened in the 2012 game, the second game as well. They just don't quit. And when they leave the academy, which, hopefully 18, 19, and, whatever their future holds, whether it's soccer or not soccer, the person that comes out of this type of program is the person that's going to be successful in life, because nothing that life will throw at these kids when they get older is going to crush them, is going to demotivate them. Like, it's incredible to watch. And I think that's what I was most proud of. The score didn't really matter to me, but the fact that we were able to just dominate, like, from start to finish, we had the ball, and really all the goals against us were just mistakes that we made. And I even said that we came in at halftime at the 2012 game, cold rain, all this, all that. First thing I said, okay, tell me about the 2 goals scored against us. Okay? 4 players, mistakes. Okay, are we okay with that? Yes, we'll do better next half. And then it's done. It's done. They understand that it's okay, it's a mistake. That's fine. We can correct those. So, fine. Let's move on. It's done. And that attitude to just go, okay, forget about it. We have one more half. Now you don't have to worry about that as a coach. How many times have you been in a situation where a player's confidence goes down because they're still thinking about what happened? Right? Our goalkeepers never do. That's so huge when your goalkeeper doesn't think about the pass. And why is that? In our 1v1 environments, they get 40, 50 shots within 3 minutes. So yeah, there's going to be goals against them, and they can't process it. They have to go, next thing, okay, that was a goal, okay, next. There's balls flying everywhere, right? So they just got to keep going. And it's the same attitude they have in the game. Okay, that went by. All right, I got to focus on the game now. I forget about that goal, right? 1v1s with our players. You get scored on, you got to work. You're playing against a big, strong, fast kid. You have 3 minutes with him. Whatever happens, you know, you got to battle for 3 minutes. You just have to. You don't have a choice. You can't quit. There's no other person around to take that responsibility away. So for me moving forward, it has to be a staple of every single session within our academy. Whether it's even 10 minutes of 1v1s and 2v2s, whatever that is, but every session must have it. Because when it comes to these tournament games, when they're older, and it's rain, cold, and it's dark out because you have a late night final game, and the other team, they can't compete with you, so what do? They dirty and just trip and foul, and the ref isn't calling anything because he doesn't want to get involved. Who's going to win that game? It's 0-0, 90th minute. Who's got that little bit more, that I'm not going to quit attitude, that I've got more in the tank, I'm going to keep going no matter what? Thanks for listening to another episode of Coaching Soccer Weekly. I would say this weekend was an overwhelming success. We had for each team a really tough game and a very manageable game. And when I say manageable, I mean just a game that we could really compete at a high level. So I thought it was a really good weekend. Two of the three teams came out with a 50-50 record, which I'm really happy about. Our 2012s, I think it was a harsh loss. Those goals against us were really just mistakes in both games, even against the Tier 1 teams that we played, the Tier 1 team. So I had fun. It was long. The driving, the days in the sun on a Saturday, and then the cold day on Sunday, just pretty pretty tiring. This weekend, I do it all over again. Sometimes I can just laugh at, the situations I put myself in, but I'm excited. It's our U13's first tournament. It's our academy's first tournament in a very long time, so I'm looking forward to it. We're again in Tier 2, so hopefully they put us in Tier 2. I think they did, and I'll be back and I'll talk about it. I think it's going to be a really interesting weekend. We have a combination of a lot of new players that have never played before. So this isn't one of our top academy teams. So I'm excited to see how we do. We do have some really good players on the team. It's just see how we mesh and see what an 11v11 gladiator team looks like. What I noticed in the 9v9 with our 2012s was that we were just so good player for player. We were able to build out of the back a lot more than the other teams, simply because we've been working on it with most of them since they were U9s. So really excited for this weekend. And until then, enjoy the journey, enjoy the moments, but most importantly, enjoy the game. Coaching Soccer Weekly is a production of World Class Coaching. All rights reserved.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end, and you can check out more of our videos right here. And if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and the subscribe button.